Greetings. Today's talk focuses on cleaning up sort of latest news on Tesla. We're also going to delve into the Tesla China plans, as well as something called the marginal utility of the Model 3 for both current and future Tesla customers. This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is the first time on our channel, please take time to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon on your screen. I'd also like to invite you to support on Patreon if you can. Our link is on the page. We also have a link there regarding if you're planning on purchasing some special discounts that go with that link. So I also wanted to note that. Our video today behind me comes courtesy of Tesla. It is different settings of owners in China of the Tesla, mostly Model X, but Model S as well. As you know, there are no Model 3s in China yet. There's a lot of sort of interesting elements of how China works relative to what Tesla's future looks like. Also wanted to note, I can see you, Jerry, and greetings to one and all of you on a Saturday, kind of playing around with which days we do our weekend show as a way to sort of identify when it's optimal for our viewers to get a chance to interact, particularly ask questions maybe in real time as well. We did a show about China and its pollution problems recently. Oh, by the way, I also wanted to mention, some people have mentioned that I have some problems with mumbling, so I can't be heard clearly. I wanted to note to you that part of my goal is to move as rapidly as I can through our conversation. So we do have closed captioning as another way for you to hear everything said. You can actually read it on your screen if you turn on the closed captioning, if you cannot understand what I'm saying. But there is a group of folks who are angry because they want the same amount of information relayed in a shorter period of time, which is made easier if I speak quickly. So what basically happened is that in about a month from now, sometime between now and September, I just wanted to note to you that it's going to be announced what's happening with the Shanghai factory by Tesla, obviously. And there's some new developments that are happening with it. The first development that I've been sort of pushing for is that it's going to be a combo factory. Both Gigafactory and the production facilities are going to be in the same location. I think this is ideal. I mean, I don't see why Tesla doesn't put up a sort of temporary production facility next to the current Gigafactory and cut the headaches of actually having to box and ship stuff between factories the way they currently are doing it. It's my estimate, and I think it's on pretty good advice, that the Tesla factory, at least the production portion for the Model 3 X and S, will be ready by July of August of next year. I would not be stunned if it's early on that timeline. It takes longer to build the Gigafactory portion. Plus, they got to work out what equipment they want sitting in China in front of a number of folks. And so I think that's going to be, worked out. But I was eager to sort of dive back into a China discussion despite doing a show recently because there's something interesting going on. When you look at something called hedge funds or very hot money guys, they are actually trying to operate in very quick time. So they want to know, what is Tesla doing this week? What are they doing next month? What are they doing 2 months from now? And the answer to those questions will determine if they help to push the stock up or down. There are also some people call institutional investors, and they tend to be large pension funds, Fidelity, folks that are managing your pension plan. Those folks tend to work on 3 to 5 year horizons. And there's an interesting sort of issue brewing, which is the Chinese are desperate to get their smog stuff addressed. And to that end, they've been bugging Tesla and even providing financing to enable them to, at little or no cost, enter the country and start building vehicles. Why and how is this a win-win? China gets Tesla to come in. They spend about $10 billion. They get, let's say, if you look at all the employees at the primary car manufacturing, I think it's about, let's say it's 20 or 25,000 people that are employed by both. Now, China gets those jobs. They win on that front. They also get an opportunity to build, you know, they get an opportunity to build vehicles. Number three, they get the Tesla expertise. China, as I'm told, in every major city, the big cities, there are as many as 20 current EV manufacturers that are all startups driven by the government's eagerness to use electric vehicles as a way to reduce the amount of smog in the air and also reduce the number of people that are dying. So another one of the wins that the Chinese are hunting for is how to deal with this pollution, despite the fact that they need the jobs. And Tesla is sort of the best of breed in terms of solving this problem currently, even though over the next 4 to 5 years, one would expect that their competitive advantage would erode as they're being copied by Samsung and others in terms of battery construct, and those factories are being built. So I am intrigued because it doesn't seem to me that anyone has taken the time to sort of bake the numbers related to the production that's going on in China or plan for China into the overall numbers that Tesla is going to do. I think that the fact that you have a manufacturing plant won't do a whole bunch because you still have the constraint of the number of batteries that are coming from the Gigafactory. But I think that if we go out a year and you have dual construction happening, I think that production at the Gigafactory in China will start by the end of 2019, possibly the beginning of 2020, at a lower scale. And then as they build out the plant, much like they did in California, we'll get a chance to see what this can do. So I agree with everyone's assessment that the goal of China is to really steal the battery technology so that they can, manufacture on their own. I thought that this was the holdup that would cause this whole effort not to occur, but clearly it's moving forward, and clearly the Chinese have been insistent. I thought there was a rather prescient or interesting comment made by a one-year-old China-based battery/car manufacturer where they indicated that they were welcoming Tesla to China. According to the Tesla material, particularly the stuff you see on the screen behind me, the first Model S's hit China in 2014, and I believe they have 1,000 superchargers in mainland China, along with service centers, etc. And there's a pretty ravenous appetite for Teslas, and the brand and cars are doing well there. So especially given incentives placed by the Chinese government to help facilitate more consumption of EVs. Now, I think part of the reason I wanted to post this video is that, number one, I think that China is going to be as big, if not bigger, than the US Tesla within the next 2 years. Number two, if in fact that's covered as we head into this announcement between the Chinese government and Tesla, I believe it's going to be a significant sort of bump in the stock value, stock price, etc. And I wanted to have you guys note that, when you're talking with entities like great analysts that work for the big firms and they have to advise their pension fund clients, they're going to be talking about the fact that, yeah, Tesla is going to have these incremental additional numbers that are going to hit their balance sheet, which is pretty awesome. And it should be a nice updraft for the stock to have the revenue and profit associated with Tesla China brought aboard. My video is editing here, so I'm thinking about keeping it going because it's nice to have some background activity. The next thing I wanted to temporarily review is I'm hopeful it's not a really bad news, but as all of you know, Tesla just finished building a new factory in Buffalo that's designed to produce solar panels, particularly the home-based solar panels. And that the big news is that Tesla elected to remove all of their sales activity, I believe 6 months ago, from their main stores and actually place those uh, and place those inside of Home Depots. Now, evidently, that Home Depot situation has not worked out well. That contract has been canceled, and those sales are now being brought back to the Tesla stores around the country. Um, I was, when I heard about this move by Tesla, I was very surprised they chose to go in this direction because every time I go to Home Depot, it's really hard to find people. They're concentrated on certain activities, and I believe that I didn't think it was a great idea to move it out of the stores because I feel like most of the people that are going to buy the solar roof solution that Tesla offers are actually current or future owners of the cars. So why not have the whole thing under one umbrella, particularly with both people that are both knowledgeable and motivated to help this occur? So I believe that it's a good thing to have the transition occur back into the stores, but I didn't see why it switched at the beginning. But I'm also amazed at how everything that's going on relative to uh, solar roofs or installations in Puerto Rico, et cetera, the rest of the business, the car business, is so big that this side of the business is relatively small, but it's an area of excellence where there's a lot of difference being made for customers around the globe, including the 11,000 installations that were discussed that's being done in Puerto Rico. So I think it's unfortunate regarding the Home Depot partnership. Hopefully we see a new and sort of better situation going on with the management and installation of these solar roofs. The final thing that I wanted to look at is something called the marginal utility of the Model 3. I really thought that, I've been sort of watching at this point, 100 or so owners of Model 3s moving around areas that I've been in. And I've been consistently impressed because I thought that there are a lot of people that would miss all the creature comforts that you give up in the Model S and other luxury vehicles at similar prices. And from what I can tell, it seems like a lot of happy customers moving around in their vehicles comfortably with no headaches. I am intrigued also because if you think about the low-end Model 3 is supposed to be 35K, and let's say the top end is 78,000 in the performance model, and with this being the sort of structure of things, I was sort of expecting that we would basically have some customers saying, I don't want that little luxury at such a high price, but maybe it's the early adopter issue, et cetera. But we seem to have a lot of happy customers rolling around in Model 3s, which sort of implies that, as soon as we get those numbers up in production to the right levels, it won't actually be a big deal what we see in terms of people getting off the waiting list because they need a car now and there's just not any inventory for them to purchase. So bottom line is that in economics there's a concept called marginal utility, and I thought there'd be some question mark about the Model 3 and would people choose to bounce up to the Model X or Model S and X. And it turns out that there are different price tiers. Obviously there's a $35,000 price tier, there's a 45, 55, 65K. These are all different price tiers that people are operating at. And I just wanted to sort of throw it out there that from what I can see, people are really happy with it. And in the United States, we don't have any of the sort of cost of battery issues that we can talk about in Europe. I actually have Wagner going in the background here, and it doesn't seem to be cooperating in terms of amount of noise that we're making. I don't want to interrupt our conversation. So, at any rate, the bottom line is this. I think that Tesla is doing a great job with the Model 3. I believe that by the end of next week, it's about the 16th now, we'll be at 700 cars a day or 5,000 cars a week that are being produced by Tesla. Um, I think Elon is very focused on how to crush the shorts that are trying to mess with the company and get the company into profitability. And the layoffs, I think, were part of that effort. Um, Hence, I believe that there's a lot of really good news that's about to hit the stock, particularly when we add on the Chinese production. So at any rate, this is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. I wanted to say hello to Jerry and my other friends who've chosen to join me live. We'd love to have any and all questions that you might pose. Jerry, I agree with you. There is a risk of sort of patent infringement challenges associated with being and working with the folks in China. But I think that there's a plan afoot to sort of manage this risk. And it could become a problem, but I think it'll be well managed to address any shortcomings that might go on in this space. At any rate, wanted to again thank you for taking time out. I know you're busy. I hope you guys enjoy the World Cup. Greetings from Mexico, Mr. Padilla. Jerry, thanks again for the comments regarding stealing battery tech. I think that's definitely possible. Any rate, again, wanted to thank you for joining us. Wanted to say we could really use a like and a subscribe, as well as a bell icon so you don't miss anything. Any Patreon support would be greatly appreciated. We're now starting to generate content unique to our supporters in this space. We're also on, soon to be on Twitter, but at this point, we are on Facebook if you'd like to look up some of the images and so forth that we're posting on a regular basis there. I'm actually enjoying the process of posting on there as I see S's and different cars moving around, because you can see it in different lighting, you can see it dirty or clean. I think it might help folks in terms of making a call on which car to choose based on the day-to-day use of the vehicles rather than the shiny, clean ones that we usually see. Any rate, again, wanted to thank you all for joining us. Look forward to our next interaction. Our plan is to be out there again on our regular schedule of Tuesday, Thursday, and then back into Sunday. And at any rate, thank you very much, 2:30 Brian. So at any rate, Tschüss macht's gut, German. I think Germany's going to win the World Cup again because those guys are really good and they play together so much. Indeed, I agree. When I get mine, it'll be an ear-to-ear smile. Wanted to, again, thank you for joining us. Tschüss macht's gut. I do believe Germany's going to win the World Cup, but I'm hoping Brazil, as a sentimental favorite, will pull it out. Obviously, the United States will not. Yes, Mr. Padilla, in Mexico, it's going to be an ugly day on Sunday, unfortunately, because Germany is just so amazing. But I do hope, I'm an underdog fan, so I'm rooting for Mexico. I'm also rooting for Brazil, but the Germans, I think, are the best planned entity, and they always do a great job, and they've won it a lot lately. In 7-0 against Brazil last time in Seville. So, au revoir, French. Adios, Spanish. See, Khoda Hafez, Farsi, Fabel, Dutch, and in Jamaican we say "Nuff respect wa good man." For all of those of you who want to know what that is, we do have the Jamaican dictionary. I like that one. Good one, Jerry. Good day, mate. Again, thanks for joining us. Look forward to our next conversation. Any and all comments would be appreciated. Have a great day. Bye for now.